I didn't think much of it at first. People get weird at work all the time. Bad bosses, awkward coworkers, strange rules. It happens. But this wasn't normal. Because the first time my boss stood behind me, he didn't say a word. Not, hey. Not, good job. Nothing. He just stood there, watching my screen. For a full minute. I remember because I counted. 1, 2, 3, all the way to 60. And the whole time, I could feel him breathing behind me. Slow, controlled, like he was studying me. That was my second week at the job, and that should have been the moment I started looking for another one. But I didn't, because I needed the money. And at that point, I still thought it was just a weird boss. His name was Daniel Harper, and if you met him on the first day, you'd think he was perfect. Calm voice, friendly smile, the kind of guy who shakes your hand and says your name like it matters. Good to have you here. That's what he told me, and I believed him. The office itself looked normal, too. Open space, rows of desks, a glass conference room in the center, coffee machine in the corner that always smelled slightly burnt. Nothing special. But there was one thing I noticed almost immediately. People didn't talk much. Not like other offices. No random conversations, no jokes across desks, just typing, clicking, silence. And whenever Daniel walked in, it got even quieter. I remember the first time I saw it happen. 2 guys were talking near the printer, laughing about something. Then Daniel stepped out of his office, and just like that, silence. They didn't even finish the sentence. They just stopped, looked down, walked away. I thought it was weird, but I didn't think too much about it. Not yet. A few days later, I made the mistake of asking about him. I was sitting next to a guy named Jake. Quiet dude, always focused. So I leaned over and said, "Hey, what's up with the boss?" He didn't answer right away. He kept typing. Then slowly, he stopped, looked at his screen, not at me, and said quietly, "Don't ask that." I thought he was joking. I even smiled a little. "No, seriously," I said. "He seems kinda—" Jake cut me off. "Just do your job." That was it. Conversation over. That's when I started paying attention. And the more I watched, the worse it got. Daniel didn't act like a normal boss. He didn't just manage work. He watched people. He'd walk through the office slowly, stopping behind random desks, not saying anything, just standing there, sometimes for 10 seconds, sometimes for a full minute. And nobody ever turned around. Nobody acknowledged him. It was like they were used to it. Or worse, they were scared to react. Then came the meetings. That's when I realized how bad it actually was. Every morning we had a team meeting. Nothing unusual, except the way he ran it. He'd call people out, not for big mistakes, small ones, tiny details. Why was this report submitted at 9:02 instead of 9 o'clock? Why did you take 7 minutes on that task instead of 5? And he wouldn't yell. That's the thing. He stayed calm. That made it worse. Because he'd just stare at you, waiting for you to answer. And if you didn't answer fast enough, he'd smile. That smile didn't feel right. About 3 weeks in, he called me into his office. First time. I remember my heart was beating faster than it should have, even though I hadn't done anything wrong. His office was different. Cleaner than the rest. Too clean. No personal items, no photos, just a desk, a chair, and a laptop. He gestured for me to sit. Smiled. "How are you settling in?" Normal question, but the way he asked it felt like a test. "Good," I said. He nodded slowly, then asked, "Do you live alone?" That caught me off guard. Yeah." He leaned back. "Good," he said. That was the moment. I felt something was really wrong. That was the moment. I felt something was really wrong. I didn't answer right away. I just sat there, trying to understand why that question mattered. "Why?" I asked. He smiled again, that same calm, controlled smile. "Just getting to know my team," he said. But it didn't feel like that. It felt like he was checking something off in his head, like my answer confirmed something. Then he leaned forward slightly. "Do you like working here?" Another simple question. But again, not the way he asked it. I nodded. "Yeah, it's good." He held eye contact for a few seconds longer than normal, then finally leaned back. "Good," he said. And just like that, the meeting was over. "You can go." I stood up, walked out, and the moment I closed the door behind me, I felt it, that pressure in my chest, like I had just walked out of something. I didn't understand yet. The next few days, things changed. Not dramatically, but enough. Daniel started paying more attention to me. Not openly, subtly. He'd walk past my desk slower than before. Stop just a little longer. Sometimes I'd look up, and he'd already be looking at me. No expression, just watching. One time, I left my desk for maybe 2 minutes, just to grab coffee. When I came back, something was off. My mouse wasn't where I left it. My keyboard slightly shifted. It was small, barely noticeable. But I knew. Someone had touched my setup. I looked around. Nobody said anything. Nobody even looked at me. That night, I couldn't stop thinking about it. It didn't make sense. Why would anyone care about my desk? Unless it wasn't about the desk. The next day, I decided to test something. Before leaving for lunch, I placed my mouse at a very specific angle, slightly tilted to the right, something only I would notice. Then I left. I came back 10 minutes later, sat down, looked at the mouse. It was straight. My stomach dropped. I didn't react. I didn't look around. I just sat there, staring at the screen, trying to act normal. But inside, something shifted. Because now I knew it wasn't in my head. Someone was checking my desk, and I had a feeling. I knew exactly who. Later that day, Daniel called me into his office again, second time. I walked in slower this time, more careful, sat down. He didn't smile immediately this time, just looked at me. "You left your desk earlier," he said. My heart skipped. "Yeah," I said. "Coffee." He nodded. "Try to keep breaks shorter." That was it. But the way he said it, it wasn't a suggestion. It was a warning. Then he added, "You never know who might need your workstation." That line stuck with me. Because it didn't make sense. Nobody needed my workstation. Unless they already used it. That night, I stayed late again. Not because of work. Because I needed answers. The office slowly emptied. One by one, people left. Until it was just me. Or at least, I thought it was. Around 8:40 p.m., I heard it. A sound, not loud. A soft click, coming from down the hall, from his office. My chest tightened. The lights were off, but there was a faint glow under his door. I stood up slowly. Every step felt louder than it should. I got closer. The door was slightly open, and that's when I heard it. My name. I froze. There were voices inside, Daniel, and someone else. "He's starting to notice," the other voice said. Silence. Then Daniel. "It doesn't matter." Another pause. "We'll handle it." My heart was pounding so loud, I was sure they could hear it. I didn't understand everything yet, but I understood enough. This wasn't normal, and whatever was happening, I was already part of it. Slowly, I reached into my pocket, took out my phone, and hit record. I didn't know it yet, but that moment was the beginning of everything falling apart. Because what I was about to hear next was something I was never supposed to know. I didn't know what I was about to hear, but something inside me was already telling me. This was bad. Really bad. I held my breath. My phone was in my hand, recording. And I stayed completely still. Inside the office, there was a pause. Then the other voice spoke again, lower this time. What if he says something? My stomach tightened. There was a quiet sound, like a chair moving. Then Daniel answered. Calm. Too calm. He won't. A pause. And if he does, silence. Then a soft exhale. We'll make sure he regrets it. My chest went tight. I felt it instantly. This wasn't just about work anymore. The other guy hesitated. You think he saw everything? Daniel didn't answer right away, and that silence was worse than anything he could have said. Then finally, not yet. A pause. But he will. My hands started shaking, not visibly, but enough that I had to tighten my grip on my phone, because now I understood something. They weren't just talking about me. They were planning something. I leaned a little closer to the door, just enough to hear better. That's when I saw it. Through the small gap, part of his desk and his laptop. The screen was on. Bright in the dark room. I couldn't see everything, but I saw enough. A list, names, rows of names, and next to each one, numbers. Some highlighted, some marked. My heart dropped, because I recognized one of the names, Jake, and next to his name, a number, a big one, and a small note. I couldn't read all of it, but I caught one word. Compliant. My throat went dry. I moved slightly, trying to see more, and that's when it happened. The floor creaked, loud, too loud. Everything inside the office stopped. Silence. Then, did you hear that? I froze. My entire body locked up. I didn't breathe. I didn't move. Footsteps, getting closer, slow, measured, right toward the door. I stepped back, silently. One step, then another. My heart was pounding so loud, I thought it would give me away. The door handle moved. I turned and walked. Not fast, not slow, just normal. Back to my desk, sat down, looked at my screen, and waited. A few seconds later, I felt it again. That presence, behind me. I didn't turn around, but I knew it was him. Standing there, watching. Then his voice, calm, right behind me. Working late? I forced my voice to stay steady. Yeah, just finishing something. Silence. Then, good. A pause. I like people who stay late. Something in the way he said that made my skin crawl. Then he leaned slightly closer and quietly said, shows commitment. Another pause. And loyalty. My grip tightened on the mouse, because now I understood something. He knew. Maybe not everything, but enough. He stayed there for a few more seconds. Then finally, he walked away. I didn't move, not for at least a minute. Then slowly, I looked at my phone, still recording, and that's when it hit me. This wasn't just a bad boss. This wasn't just a toxic workplace. This was something else, something organized, something hidden, and somehow, I was already inside it, and I had proof. I just didn't know yet how dangerous that proof really was. I didn't leave right away that night. I couldn't. Something in me was telling me that if I walked out now, I'd miss something important. So I stayed, pretending to work, clicking, typing. But I wasn't focused on the screen anymore. I was listening. Every sound, every movement. The office was quiet again, but not empty. Not anymore. I knew he was still there, somewhere. About 10 minutes passed, maybe 15. Then I heard it again. Footsteps, slow, controlled, not coming toward me this time, moving away, toward the back hallway. I waited, counted in my head. 1 minute, 2. Then I stood up, slowly, quietly. My heart was already racing again. But this time, it wasn't just fear. It was curiosity. And something else. That feeling you get when you know you're about to cross a line. I moved toward his office. The door was closed now. No light underneath. I reached for the handle, then stopped. My hand just hovered there. Because I knew, once I opened that door, there was no going back. But I still did it. Slowly. I pushed it open. The room was dark, silent. I stepped inside, closed the door behind me, just enough. And for a second, I just stood there, letting my eyes adjust. Then I saw it. The laptop, still on, screen glowing in the dark, exactly where I saw it before. I moved closer. Every step felt louder than it should. I kept expecting the door to open behind me, but it didn't. I reached the desk, looked at the screen, and this time, I could see everything. It wasn't just a list, it was a system. Names, positions, salaries, and next to each person, notes, short ones. Loyal, quiet, unstable, questioning. My throat tightened. I scrolled, slowly, and then I saw something else. A column, with numbers. Not salaries, not bonuses. Different numbers. Some small, some really big. And next to them, one word. Value. My chest went cold. Value? I scrolled further, and then I saw my name. Right there. Same format. My position. My salary. And then, a note. Observing. My stomach dropped. And next to it, a number. Higher than I expected. I didn't understand what it meant, but I knew it wasn't good. I kept scrolling. Then I saw Jake again. Compliant. High value. And below that, Sarah. The same Sarah, who came out crying. Her note said, resistant. And her value was low. Really low. I felt something shift in my chest. This wasn't random. This wasn't just notes. He was ranking people, judging them, deciding something. And I didn't know what. But I was on that list, and so was everyone else. Then I noticed something at the top of the screen. A tab, another page. I hesitated. My hand hovered over the trackpad, because something told me whatever was behind that tab was worse. But I still clicked it. The screen changed, and for a second, I didn't understand what I was looking at. Then it hit me. Files. Dozens of them. Each labeled with a name. Employee names. I clicked one. Jake. The file opened, and what I saw made my blood run cold. A recording. Video. From inside the office. Jake at his desk. Different days. Different angles. My hands started shaking again. He wasn't just watching us. He was recording everything. I clicked another file. Sarah. Same thing. Hours of footage. Different moments. Some normal. Some uncomfortable. Like he was collecting something, building profiles. I felt sick, because now I understood. This wasn't just monitoring. This was control. I scrolled down, looking for my name, and then I found it. I hesitated. My finger hovered over it, because I already knew. If I opened that file, everything would change. And right as I was about to click, I heard it. The door behind me, opening, slowly. The door behind me, opened slowly. I didn't turn around. I couldn't. My hands a stiglen at trackpadum, my eyes still on the screen. My name, right there, one click away, and footsteps, close, too close. I forced myself to breathe normally. Just one breath, slow, controlled. Then I clicked. The file opened. And I turned at the same time. Daniel was standing there, right in the doorway, watching me. No surprise, no anger, just that same calm expression, like he already knew this would happen. "You shouldn't be in here," he said. His voice was quiet, controlled, and somehow worse than if he yelled. I didn't answer. I couldn't, because on the screen, my video had already started playing. It was me, sitting at my desk, from earlier that day, different angles. And then, I saw something that made my stomach drop. It wasn't just video. There was audio, conversations, not just work talk, personal stuff, calls, even moments, when I thought nobody was listening. My grip tightened on the edge of the desk, because now I understood. He wasn't just watching us. He was listening, recording everything. I slowly looked up at him. He hadn't moved, still standing in the doorway, watching me. "How long?" I asked. My voice sounded chuji navid lamena. He tilted his head slightly. "Since you started," he said. That hit hard. My mind started racing. Every conversation, every small moment, everything recorded. "Why?" I didn't even think before asking. He didn't answer immediately. Instead, he stepped inside, slowly closed the door behind him. The click echoed louder than it should have. Then he walked closer, not fast, just steady, until he was standing next to the desk, close enough that I could feel it again, that pressure. "People are predictable," he said, calm. "They just don't realize it." I didn't respond, because I was still trying to process what I was seeing. He continued, "You learn enough about someone." A pause. "You can control them." My chest tightened again. Control. That word suddenly made everything make sense. The lists, the notes, the recordings. It wasn't random. It was a system. "What do you do with it?" I asked. This time, he smiled. And that smile was worse than anything else. "Depends on the person," he said. He glanced at the screen. At my file. "Some people cooperate." A pause. "Some people don't." I felt it again. That shift. Because now, I understood what happened to Sarah, and why Jake never talked. "And me?" I asked. My voice was quieter now. He looked at me, not smiling anymore, just studying me. Then he said, "You're still deciding." Silence. My heart was pounding again, because I realized something. This wasn't about catching me. This wasn't even about stopping me. He was offering something, a choice, and I didn't know which option was worse. He stepped back slightly. "Close it," he said, nodding at the laptop. I hesitated. Then slowly, I closed the file. The screen returned to the list, my name still there. Observing, and that number still next to it. "Go home," he said. Just like that. No anger, no threats, which somehow made it worse. I stood up slowly, walked to the door, my hand on the handle, and then I stopped. Because there was one thing I needed to know. I turned slightly. "What happens to people who don't cooperate?" Silence. He didn't answer right away. Then finally, "You've already seen it," he said. My chest went cold. Because yeah, I had. I just didn't realize it at the time. I opened the door, walked out, and as I stepped into the empty office, I realized one thing. This wasn't over, not even close. Because now, I knew the truth. And he knew that I knew. I didn't sleep that night, not even close. I got home, sat down, and just stared at the wall, because my brain couldn't process it fast enough. The recordings, the files, the list, the way he looked at me, and that one line. "You've already seen it." I kept replaying everything in my head. Sarah crying, Jake going quiet every time I asked something, the way nobody talked. It wasn't just fear, it was control. And suddenly, everything made sense. He wasn't managing people. He was studying them, learning everything, weaknesses, habits, patterns, and then using it. I looked at my phone. Still had the recording from that night. My hands were shaking again. But not from fear this time. Something else. Anger. Because now I understood something important. He didn't expect me to fight back. He expected me to fold. just like everyone else. And that's when I made a decision. I wasn't going to play his game. I was going to break it. The next morning, I didn't go to work right away. I sat in my car, right outside the building, watching people walk in. Same faces, same silence. And I realized something. Every single one of them was on that list. Every single one was being watched, and none of them were going to say anything. So if something was going to happen, it had to be me. I walked in. Same office, same silence. But this time, it felt different. Because now I knew what was behind it. I sat down at my desk, turned on my computer, and then I did something simple. I plugged in a USB drive, one I brought from home. Because if he was recording everything, then I was going to do the same. The next few hours, I worked like nothing changed. But in reality, I was watching everything, listening, waiting, and then it happened. He called me in again. I walked into his office. Same room, same desk, same laptop. But this time, I wasn't the same person. He looked at me, calm. Have you made a decision? Straight to the point. No pretending anymore. I sat down slowly, looked him in the eyes, and for the first time, I didn't feel smaller. Yeah, I said. A pause. I did. He nodded slightly. Good. Another pause. So? I leaned back, kept my voice calm. You're done. That was the first time. I saw it. A crack, not fear, but something close. What? He said. I didn't rush. I just reached into my pocket and placed my phone on the desk. Hit play. The recording filled the room. His voice. The other guy. The threats. Everything. He didn't move, didn't interrupt, just listened. And when it ended, silence. Then slowly, he looked at me and smiled. That same smile, but weaker now. That doesn't prove anything, he said. I nodded. You're right, I said. Then I leaned forward. That's why I made copies. His expression changed, just slightly, but enough. Multiple copies, I added. And if anything happens to me, I paused. They go public. That was it. That was the moment everything shifted. Because for the first time, he wasn't in control. He leaned back slowly, looked at me. No smile now, just calculation. What do you want? He asked. And that question told me everything. Because now, he was the one negotiating. I stood up, looked at him one last time. Nothing, I said. I'm done playing. And I walked out. That same day, things started moving. Fast. I sent everything, the recordings, the files, the evidence, to people who actually could do something. And within days, the company changed. Investigations, questions, people talking for the first time. And Daniel, gone. Just like that. No goodbye, no explanation, just gone. I never saw him again, but I heard enough. Everything he built collapsed, and all because one person didn't stay quiet. So yeah, I lost that job, but I got something better. The truth. And if there's one thing I learned from all of this, it's this. The worst bosses aren't loud. They're quiet. And they watch. And by the time you realize what's happening, you're already part of it.